Hello YouTube! So I've just finished rewatching Victorious. I went down this venture because I know they've got that reboot coming at sometime this year, but I was also just really itching to rewatch Victorious. The songs were stuck in my head, and I really did have a fun time. Of course, you can't ignore the icky man of it all working behind the scenes, but I found it to still be a very fun project to revisit despite that, and I could get past some of those elements because of how strong the show itself was. And I would give a lot of that credit to the cast in particular. First, I'll go character by character, and then I'll get into some of my overall thoughts at the end. But of course, I have to start with Tori Vega herself, our main character, Victoria Justice. Back in the day, I was a fan of her. She was the standout on Zoe 101 when she came in as Lola. So I personally was very excited for Victorious, and I was very excited to see Victoria Justice get her time to shine. And I thought the show really delivered on that promise. I found her to be a compelling main character. I loved watching her journey throughout the show. She had her flaws, yeah. She did some things I don't quite approve of. Like, I think even in the first episode, it's a little strange to be kissing on Beck to kind of like get revenge on Jade, even though Jade was totally acting weird. I could also just chalk that up to misogynistic writing, which for this show, you had to do that for most of the show. A lot of the instances, you can tell, oh yeah, it was definitely a man behind this. But Tori really is our normal girl amidst a crazy school full of all sorts of talents and all sorts of quirks. She's a great grounding force. Even as the show kind of goes off the rails in the last season, I'd say, I still found Tori to be a grounding presence, and she never goes too into the chaos of it all. I'd actually say she was one of my favorite main characters from all the Nick shows of this era. And the fact that she had some of my favorite songs from the show certainly helps. Moving on to who I'd say was her closest friend, Andre Harris. I think he was also more normal in the cast of Crazies. He was kind of like her partner in crime a lot of the time. They'd often be bouncing off each other, looking at each other like, what are these people doing? I also think he kept that over the seasons, though I will say as time went on, there would be a few episodes here and there where he'd go girl crazy, and those weren't particularly my favorite episodes, but it's not enough to make me hate Andre or anything. His most compelling dynamic is absolutely with Tori. I just love them as a pair. I also have to say, why did they never explore that as a romance? Personally, I like it how it was. I think romance is often overdone in these types of shows, but it's a little suspicious. Let's just say if Andre was a white character and had this same dynamic with Tori, I 1000% believe they would have had at least one episode exploring them having romantic feelings for each other. I am not mad it's not there just personally, but I can admit it is very strange that that wasn't explored at all. Andre was also very vocally talented. I still think Tori had my favorite songs of the show, but whenever Andre would sing, you take note. Though, I mean, it really is true. Everybody can sing in the show. Oh, poor Victoria Justice. The strength of Victorious as a show was the cast throughout. There were other strengths, but I would say the cast, and particularly I think Tori and Andre did a lot of the heavy lifting, at least in terms of keeping a sense of normalcy and keeping things from going too off the rails. Now, if you want to talk about off the rails, I'll give a mention to Andre's grandma. Now, say what you will about this feeding into stereotypes, and it absolutely does, and that's an unacceptable pattern. Andre's grandma is absolutely a portrayal of the crazy Black woman. It's terrible, but it's what they were doing. I can sit back and be like, you know what, this actress was having a lot of fun with the role. There were some wacky hijinks. I think there was some fun to be had with this character. She did steal every scene she was in. My favorite moment with Andre's grandma was probably when they had her and Trina clash. Like, that's the clash of the titans, the clash of the scene stealers, really. So the juxtaposition of having Andre be so normal and so kind and so lovely to Andre's grandma just being off the rails. It was amusing. Now, I guess if I've already mentioned her, I'm going to talk about Trina, Tori's sister, and she will be the main character in this reboot that they're doing. And that's mostly why I'm intrigued to see what they'll do with her, because Trina was always my favorite character. She is the talentless little sister of Tori, and everybody always questions how she got into Hollywood arts. But you know what? I get it. Say what you will about Trina, she could be selfish and bratty, but she always went after what she wanted, and I aspire to have that same ambition, that same confidence as Trina did. Undeserved or not, that's not the conversation I'm having here. Trina always took things into her own hands and did what she felt was right for her. It was amusing. Every single scene Trina was in, she stole the show. Not an exception in the bunch. Danielle Monet is fantastic. She's a perfect choice for a spinoff, and I'm not sure how it's gonna go. Like, to be determined. I'll review it a later time. But this is a character who succeeded strictly because of Danielle Monet, because the writers really just threw everything at her to make her seem terrible, awful, miserable. And it's to Danielle Monet's credit that you're still like, you know what, Trina, you're pretty cool. Maybe you're not always rooting for Trina, but you're always happy to see her on screen. And you know, even though she was perceived as talentless, I still felt we saw her talent seep in at times here and there. If the teachers at this school were more focused on letting her embrace her talent than shutting her down and being like, no, you've got no talent at all, she could have thrived in this school a little more. But that's not the conversation we're having, I suppose. We're having the conversation about a comedic show. And Trina got the most laughs out of me. Hands down. Of course, my favorite Trina moment is the Chicago musical. I would have got my tickets to see it. She put on a show, and it was fantastic. Like, what else is there to say? I want to talk about Jade next. And Jade is our mean girl. She starts off as Tori's bully, but then they kind of have this frenemies dynamic going. Let's just cut to the chase. Tori and Jade absolutely have all the romantic chemistry in the world. It is undeniable. And viewing this show through the queer lens makes it a 5,000 times more enjoyable experience. And it's the only way to really make sense of this friend group, because why else do Tori and Jade put up with each other, besides the fact that deep down, they both have feelings for each other? It just makes too much sense. And the chemistry between those two is undeniable. Every scene Tori and Jade share with each other, oh, fireworks. It's a shame as the show went on, Jade sort of got backpedaled into just being the mean girl again. We were seeing an interesting evolution of Jade in probably like the first 2 seasons, but then in season 3, they kind of backslid and the show really just reverted everybody back to their basic traits. I don't think Jade suffered the most from that, strictly because Elizabeth Gillies gave an excellent portrayal of the character, but it was noticeable. And you start to question again, how does this friend group work? Why is Jade friends with these people? Instead of it really not needing an explanation earlier on in the show's run, or even being acknowledged by the show, like, what's Jade doing here? Ultimately, what would have made it all made sense is to say Jade and Tori were in love with each other, but that didn't happen. They just have Jade get back with Beck. Jade didn't only just have an interesting dynamic with Tori, though. Her and Kat had a very fun dynamic, particularly in season 1, as is everything with Kat. But even as the show went on, you really saw Jade sticking up for Kat a lot of the time. They just had a fantastic chemistry of their own. Even as it starts to make less and less sense why Jade and Kat would be friends, Jade still made their interactions pretty fun. I'd give her a lot of credit for that. Elizabeth Gillies was one of the people really holding the show together at its lowest moments. And vocally, hello. Jade gave us the vocals as well. I mean, I can't say anything bad about Tori, Andre, Jade, or Kat. They all gave us fantastic songs. I want to talk about Beck next because he's so tied to Jade. He was here as like, okay, you are our token hot guy of the group. He was another more normal person in the mix of the group. But balancing that with him having a relationship with Jade, who is so off the walls, was very interesting. I was happy for both Beck and Jade when they finally broke up. Pairing just didn't work, but of course they had to get back together. We have to maintain status quo. Very annoying. And he also like had a little thing with Tori. I just did not enjoy that at all. A lot of the misogynistic writing was shown through Beck, but that's not to say Beck ruined the show or anything. I did like his friendship with Tori. There was some intrigue in seeing him and Jade paired up together. It did tell you more about the characters because they do explain why they're together despite them both being the way they are. Beck is drawn to somebody as forceful and demanding as Jade, and Jade needs somebody to bring a little normalcy into her life. And that should be Tori, but it was Beck for the purpose of the show. Whatever. Beck had a few nice guy moments and everything. I don't think he was the strongest character of the show. He wasn't doing any of the singing or anything like that, and that plussed everybody who did the singing. And he didn't really get to display his acting as much as you would have hoped with the show. He was really just kind of there to be another normal guy. I won't say Beck dragged down the show ever. I cannot give him that much credit, but I don't think he really plussed the show. He was just another addition to the ensemble. The acting was great, but the character just didn't give me much to latch on to. Okay, now I'll talk about Kat, played by the fantastic Ariana Grande. Now, I will say, back in the day, I was a fan of Kat, but on this rewatch, ooh, it was rough after season 1 for Kat. I think in season 2, there was bits and pieces there, but she really just became a total caricature. She showed a little bit of smarts here and there in season 1, but by the time in season 2, she is just portrayed as a bumbling idiot, very infantilized. It's humiliating. And I'll admit, there were like a joke or two here or there that I got a chuckle out of. Like, I remember when Jade pulled out a coloring book for Kat. I got a little giggle out of that. That was in like season 2. But it was just taken to an extreme. It totally lost the plot of who Kat as a character was. I could no longer see how she fit in this group, why she was friends with Jade, any of that. She was just this bouncing off the walls girl. And I guess she got taken in by the weirdos. There was not a single time where Kat mentioned her brother that I ever laughed at all. Not once. The only times after season 1 that I ever really enjoyed Kat was when she was paired off with the girls. I think Kat in particular suffered the most from the misogynistic writing in the show. But you know what? If nothing else for Kat in the later seasons was good, she always sang. And of course she did. She's Ariana Grande. But oh, it's a delight. I just wish Kat was shown more respect. She was not my favorite in season 1, but I really did appreciate her character. She wasn't quite normal, but she felt real. And that was totally lost. Just snap your fingers. Season 2, it was gone. Last but not least, I guess, for the main cast is Robbie. And I absolutely despise Robbie. He did not get a single laugh out of me the entire show. Not him, not Rex, neither of them. Not a single laugh. I'd even go as far to say he actively dragged down the show. It was a little easier in season 1 because he was the oddball out of the group. He did not fit in the group, and they kind of used him as a punching bag of the group. But then in season 2, where you have Kat kind of going off the rails, you have the Beck and Jade of it all, it's become a lot of weirdos in the mix, and Robbie sticks out as the weirdest of them all. And like, I could excuse 1 or 2 of these instances, but Robbie's still here? It was bizarre. And then, like, in season 2 and season 3, they gave him, like, focus episodes here and there. It was awful. He was so weird to all the girls on the show constantly, and that was just kind of brushed over. I like, every other character in the show besides Robbie. And when it gets to Robbie, I'm just like, I just cannot stand you. You might be one of the worst fictional characters ever created. So if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. I will say nothing else about Robbie. I want to give a shout out to a few of the side characters. Sinjin became a mainstay of the show. He kind of just seemed like knockoff Robbie, but I found him a little more amusing than Robbie, and at least he was not in the main group. And towards the end of the run, they started giving him way too much focus. Just in the background, Sinjin was fine, but it was overkill when they'd give Sinjin a lot of time and Robbie a lot of time. Oh, too much. Tori's parents are some of the most evil parents you've ever seen in all of fiction. They actively hate their children. That's the only explanation here. They hate them when they're there, and they're not there most of the time. It's diabolical. Psychowitz was our crazed teacher, bouncing off the walls. I will say I was a little amused by Psychowitz. You'd have to have some wacky teacher for this school, and Psychowitz certainly fit the bill. It was taken to the extreme sometimes, but I'd say for the most part, I was okay with Psychowitz. I thought he was an amusing part of the show. The guidance counselor, Lane, was a nice fixture of the show. He was more normal than the other teachers, but he had a weird love for lotion. Very weird. He wasn't as utilized in the show later on, and I think that was a missing piece of the show, really. I think to some degree he did ground the show a little bit, and that would have been nice as it went off the rails in the later season. The restaurant owner, Mrs. Lee, was a fantastic character. I thought she was so funny. She makes her debut as a Chinese restaurant owner who's also kind of a stage mom. She funds Jade's play and forces her daughter to be in it. It was very amusing. She comes back later on and she now owns the sushi bar, a Japanese place. They're like, are you Chinese or Japanese? It is dated, to say the least, writing. But Mrs. Lee's actress delivers such a fun performance. I still want to give her credit for that, and she was a very entertaining character, and I loved every time she popped out because she left an impression on the viewers for sure. Last but not least is Helen from Drake and Josh. I was so excited when she popped up. She became the principal of Hollywood Arts, and oh my gosh, it was everything. I love Helen. She was my favorite in Drake and Josh. I just love Yvette Nicole Brown. I watch her in anything she's in. She appeared in like 2 episodes. She was very fun in those episodes, but I wish she was more of a recurring character. We really needed her to prop up the show. Like, the show needed her help badly. I know she's still going to be the principal in the reboot. I'm very excited for that. I hope she plays a bigger role there. Now, back with Drake and Josh, though. She had an interesting character portrayal there too, which I'm not going to get into, particularly with Victorious. I thought her character was very respected in her appearance here. Like, she was given the biggest position of power in the show. Put some respect on Helen's name. So those are all the characters. I will get into some talk of the show overall and the songs. I've been hinting at it a little bit, but I think the show totally fell apart in season 3. Season 2 was hit or miss, but by season 3, there are some episodes I wouldn't even want to revisit. I contribute that most to the show losing what made it special. It was Tori, this normal girl coming into this school filled with so much crazy talent, but as it went on, it really just became an ensemble of this friend group who had no chemistry as friends by the end of the show and was held together by these actors playing off of bad writing that doesn't explore anything new with these characters, just treats them at their base level. The episodes that stick out in my mind are the episodes that really focus on them being in this Hollywood school, putting on plays, singing their songs, fighting over who's gonna get what role, but they're just doing basic sitcom episodes. Like they had one episode where everybody gave Tori a ride to school. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, really? You could just tell they ran out of ideas and probably should have ended the show a season sooner. The cherry on top of it all is season 3. I don't think it had many good songs, and I'll get into the songs now. I don't think any of my favorite songs I'll point out are from season 3, I'll say. But my favorite song of them all is Freak the Freak Out. And a big factor in that is the episode itself. It was a strong episode. It really built up to the moment where Tori sang Freak the Freak Out, unmasked her disguise. It was a powerful moment. So that hypes the song up a little more. But I just love that song. It's so catchy. It's so good. And that special too, it also had Give It Up, Cat and Jade. Phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Like genuinely, a lot of the Victoria songs are like in my playlist. Just, they have to be there. They're so good. Even the dang show's theme song, they spend the whole pilot singing it, and then it is theme song throughout the show. Iconic! Make It Shine. Of course, the theme song for a musical show has to be good. And it is. Love to see it. I've always been very partial to Best Friend's Brother. What business does that song have being in a kid's show? I don't know. It wasn't really relevant. I will not question it though, because it was that good. Yes. Yeah, your best friend's brother is the one for you. I agree. Season 2 kicked off strong with Take a Hint. The girls really came together and said, oh, screw this guy. It's glorious. Those are all the songs I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm missing others. Like, I could go play the Victorious soundtrack and just have a good time with it. All bangers for the first 2 seasons. Well, I mean, season 2 was a little hit or miss, but the first season, all bangers. That about wraps up what I have to say about Victorious. Phenomenal show. Very flawed show, but the highs are very high, and I'd probably rewatch it again. Maybe I'd skip a little around in season 3. Maybe I'd skip season 3 entirely. I might go rewatch some other shows now, like, I don't know, iCarly. Sounds fun to me. And I'll be back to talk about that reboot whenever it comes. So stay tuned. Until next time. Bye.